So do you think, you were saying there, if they can do it, then maybe I can do it. And although obviously you followed eventually another path other than music, do you think even just the fact that they had went out there, and then, I mean, Richard Jobson obviously became a broadcaster as well, but the fact that they'd done that, even though if it was in a different field, was that an encouragement and an inspiration?
It was. I mean, the whole thing about punk was it came along at the right time for me. I was sort of 16, 17 in high school. You know, we started trying to start up a magazine, we tried to start a band. It was like, you know, it was like anybody can do this. Mm-hmm. Whereas I'd grown up with punk, with prog.
Yeah.
And prog, you had to have your mellotrons, and you had to have your really expensive instruments, and your kind of road crew and everything, and you had to know classical music, and you had to kind of, you know, score stuff. And then suddenly when punk came along and said, no, just pick up a guitar.
Yeah, it was
pick up the cheapest guitar going. It's only got 2 strings. Just keep hammering away at it.
Yeah, I think it was a Sniff and Glue fanzine. It had the front cover. It said, "This is a chord. This is another chord. Now go and form a band."
Absolutely.
I may be paraphrasing it, but that was basically...
That was exactly right. I think maybe there were 3 chords.
Yeah.
But it was kind of, it was like that. But it was that kind of thing about, you know, anybody can do this. Get on board. You want to be a writer. And I was sending off stories and poems to ridiculous places. You know, the Times Literary Supplement, the Radio Times. You know, I sent a poem to the Radio Times thinking, oh, maybe they'll take it. You know, I was like 18. Mm-hmm. It's just like, why not?
Do you think there's a punk ethos that came into your writing? Do you think you're partly the writer you are because you came from the era of punk rock?
I don't know, but I mean, the first book that ever got published was called The Flood. It wasn't a crime novel, and it was published by Polygon. And Polygon was a small indie that came out of Edinburgh, was run by the Edinburgh University Students' Association, mm-hmm. and they picked up very early on with James Kelman, and published his first book of short stories and his first novel, had some success with it. So there was that kind of do-it-yourself thing that was happening in Scotland per se, not just in the music industry, but in film and in writing. There were magazines coming along. I mean, Ken Crastus was an early magazine that took my stuff. It was just magazines put together by kids, basically, and people just fresh out of college or fresh out of high school, just try to do something different.